morning. Please stand as you're able for our opening song, number 1001, Breaths. I would like to please invite the family to come forward to light our chalice. We have a new covenant, which we'll use for the first time this week. The covenant is in your order of service and also on the screen. We covenant to embrace one another in community by welcoming all with an open heart and generous spirit, seeking to understand others with grace and patience, speaking our truths bravely and respectfully, and creating space for all to be heard and acknowledged and valued. And I'm so sorry that that's not on the screen or in your order of service, but it will be. So please take a moment to greet your neighbors and friends. And I do. And that was the Riccaccio family who lit our chalice this morning. So welcome to UUCDC. My name is Marva Williams, and I am your worship associate today. I'm joined by Reverend Ed, our interim minister, and by Chrissy Buschiger, who's our director of religious education. I'd like to welcome all of those who are joining us online and to let you know that if you stay online after the service, you can have a virtual coffee hour. We'll also have a real coffee hour in Fellowship Hall between services this afternoon. If you are interested in learning more about membership at UUCDC, a member of the newcomer team will be available after the service in the youth room, which is located at the end of the lobby from the sanctuary. They'll be happy to talk to you about UUCDC and answer any questions you may have. I have a short reading I'd like to share with you. This is by Joseph Campbell, and it is adopted from an interview that he did with Bill Moyer. We have not even to risk the adventure alone, for the heroes of all time have come before us. And where we had thought to find abomination, may we find peace. Where we had thought to travel outward, may we come to the center of our own existence. And where we had thought to be alone, may we be with all the world. Please join me in our centering song.
Good morning. This is the time in the service where we acknowledge the joys and concerns that run through our hearts and minds. May we be mindful that each life and each family is touched by both sorrows and joys, sometimes revealed, sometimes hidden, but always felt by many, if not all of us. So I invite you now, as you feel so moved, to drop a stone in the water representing your joy or concern. I would like to let everybody know and be mindful of that during the joys and sorrows there will be a notice on the screen of an individual who has chosen to share a joy or concern publicly. And if you on a particular week would have a joy or concern that you would like the whole community to know, you can email the caring committee as instructed on the screen there to share that. So we would like everyone to know that that's available. Now I would like to drop a stone, 2 stones for the unspoken joys and concerns that reside in our hearts and minds. May we remain seated as we sing Spirit of Life.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me? No. My mic is on. Can I get volume on my mic, please? Oh, that's on. Okay. All right, better. So, our story today is based on the picture book, The Rabbit Listened, by Corey Dorfeld. I'm going to be telling this story, but if you have occasion to pick up this picture book and read it, I highly recommend it. It's one of my absolute favorites. It's from 2018. If you are purchasing a picture book for a small person in your life, you know, you might consider this one. It's a good one. I don't usually do product placement in the Time for All Ages. It's a good one. Anyway, so this is a story about a little boy named Taylor. And one day, Taylor built an amazing creation from blocks. Have you ever built an amazing creation from blocks? Like maybe the best one you've ever built? Yeah, me too. Like just an amazing, amazing creation. So Taylor built an amazing creation from blocks, and then suddenly, somehow, it all crashed down. Has that ever happened to you? It's happened to me. Yeah. And so Taylor had a lot of feelings about this. Can you imagine what some of his feelings about this might have been? How do you think Taylor felt? Mad. Sad, mad. Exasperated. Frustrated, angry. Upset. Yeah, these are great feeling words. I love it. So all of Taylor's friends wanted to help him. So first came Chicken. Chicken came along. And Chicken suggested that they talk about it. Chicken wanted to talk about the problem. But Taylor didn't want to talk about it. So Chicken went away. So then came along Bear, and Bear said, rah, 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 rah. Bear wanted to grumble and shout about the problem, Bear wanted to get all angry. But Taylor didn't want to get all angry and grumble and shout about the problem. So Bear went away. Then came Elephant. Elephant wanted to remember. Elephant wanted to remember where every block went. Elephant wanted to fix the problem. But Taylor didn't want to remember and fix the problem. So Elephant went away. The animals kept coming. Ostrich came along. Ostrich wanted to forget the thing ever happened. Ostrich wanted to hide and forget. Hyena wanted to laugh about it. I'm forgetting one of them because like ostrich, I'm forgetting. Oh, kangaroo came along with baby Joey. Kangaroo saw the mess on the floor and she just wanted to pick it all up, put it away. And then came Snake. Snake came along and whispered in Taylor's ear, "Why don't we go find another kid and knock down his tower?" But Taylor didn't want to do any of those things. Taylor didn't want to do anything. Taylor just wanted to be alone. And so all the friends left, and Taylor was alone. Kind of, not really, because in the corner where no one could see was Rabbit. Just quiet. Rabbit slowly, 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 inch by inch, came closer and closer to Taylor until Rabbit was just right up next to Taylor, soft, warm fur against his skin. And they sat there like that, all cuddled up together for a long time. And Taylor started to talk, and the rabbit listened. And Taylor started to yell, and the rabbit listened. And Taylor started to remember, and the rabbit listened. And Taylor wanted to hide, and the rabbit listened. And Taylor started to laugh, and the rabbit listened. And Taylor thought about putting everything away, and the rabbit listened. And Taylor thought about going and finding some other kid's tower to knock over, and the rabbit listened. And the rabbit was still listening when eventually Taylor talked about being ready to start building another tower. Thank you for listening to my story this morning.
Thank you, Chrissy. I'd like to thank each of you individually and all of you collectively for the gifts you have given over the years to this congregation. No matter its size, I thank you for contributing to the health and well-being of this congregation. Now, this congregation stands at an important threshold. We are trying to build a future that is the best possible future imaginable for this congregation. So when you give, you are giving to the future and to a vision of what this congregation can be. I thank you for your gifts, both past and present, and for every way you have been generous with your time and service as well as resources to this congregation. Thank you.
It is time for our children to go to their religious education classes. We will sing our sending song 3 times. The first time we sing it together. The second time our teachers go into the lobby to get ready to greet their students. And then the third time the kids will go out to meet up with their teachers. Parents, pickup is at 10:45. Thank you.
Listen to the voices of the First Nations. Ooh. Listen to the voices of the First Nations, calling out the messages of the earth and sky, telling us what we need to know in order to survive. Listen to the voices of the First Nations. Ooh. Listen to the voices of the old women. Ooh. Listen to the voices of the old women, calling out the messages of the moon and sea, telling us what we need to know in order to be free. Listen to the voices of the old women. Ooh. Listen to the voices of the young children. Ooh. Listen to the voices of the young children, calling out the messages of the heart and soul, telling us what we used to know before the lies were told. Listen to the voices of the young children. Ooh. Listen to the voices of the young children. Ooh. Listen to the voices of the old
Thank you. I think the mic is on. Thank you, choir, for beautiful. Years ago, I was in a town in Texas serving as interim minister for a large UU congregation. I will not say where, for reasons that will become apparent in a moment. And I was the second interim minister in 2 years. And I was there because, among other reasons, they had had quite a bit of conflict that ended around the ministry of the last settled minister they had there. And so I was talking one day to one of their board members, a guy that I had gotten to know very well, and I was asking him about that final meeting where they had a huge congregational meeting and they were making decisions about their future, and there was upset about the way the minister had left and all that. And I said, well, you know, I heard that meeting was very tense. How tense was it? And he said, well, Ed, don't tell anybody, but I had hired 3 private detectives to be there, and they were all armed. And I said, were you planning to have a shootout? That would be one for the history books. And he said, no, they weren't going to use those guns. They were just there to project seriousness for anybody that questioned. I said, okay. So I learned about that congregation. And what I learned was that the culmination of the crisis that beset them was all rooted in their inability or their failure to listen to one another and talk to one another over a very long period of time. Actually, I traced it back at least 5 years, where people in the congregation, this is true for marriages too, where people at some point cease to really listen to one another, and it culminates into a crisis. And that can happen in a congregation, or it can happen in a marriage, or in any other type of relationships. Speaking and listening to one another is happening all the time around us. The air is filled with words. How often, however, do you feel really, genuinely, deeply heard? And to what extent do you believe those around you who are a part of your daily life feel that you genuinely hear them? It is interesting to me that all the great religions have some teachings about listening and being heard. The Buddhist teachings are one of the most remarkable in this regard, having a lot of rules about being sensitive to the other and what the other person is saying and so forth. But all the religions have something to say about listening and being heard. Various reasons make it difficult or challenging to get others to hear us and we to hear them. Some of those factors are confirmation bias. That is, if what I hear is not an echo of what I already think and believe, I don't hear you, because I have built an area of belief, and if what you are saying is in some ways at variance with that, I'm really not going to listen to you. Another factor that is against listening and being heard is related to the pressure to prevail. I feel so insecure about being heard. I feel so so much disbelief that someone will actually hear what I say, and I'm so insecure about having my way in the world that I am interested only in prevailing, in being over against someone. The other factor that's increasingly important in our society is increased polarization. There are hardened positions all over our society which put people into tribes and camps that become almost immune to hearing one another. Another problem is time poverty. Modern life is fast-paced. To be calmly present with another, to be open, to linger with another, to hear what they're saying seems impossible. Who has time for that? Another factor is the rise in electronic media taking the place of direct and unmediated human interaction. Human interaction can be at times boring or tedious, predictable or difficult compared to what I might find on my iPhone or on my computer, and therefore I go towards those sources of information. Another factor that is important is the increase in ways information flows toward us. We are bombarded, we are submerged in a sea of messages. Twitter, Facebook, iPhones, TV, radio, and other forms of media swarm around us like bees with messages meant to get our attention. How can we break through this to the simplicity of being present to another and listening to them? All of these factors working together diminish the transmission of understanding from one person to another and contribute to the rise of tribalism and to the fragmentation of our society. And it is having a real impact on our society. Dr. Jeremy Noble, who's on the faculty of Harvard Medical School, wrote, "The world is becoming lonelier, and there's some very, very worrisome consequences." The Center for Disease and Control out of Atlanta said social isolation and loneliness have become widespread problems in the United States, posing a serious threat to mental and physical health. Studies have shown repeatedly that loneliness can increase the risk of stroke by 32%, heart disease by 29%, and dementia by 50%. Loneliness is a signal, like thirst, Noble writes. It points to a need for survival and for an authentic, reliable, and durable sense of connection to others. The irony of the situation is that we know what fosters and nurtures human connection, and that it is not complicated. Openness, the breaking of the spell of loneliness, the connection with others, is based on openness, transparency, mutual respect, acceptance of differences, and self-management. And all of these characteristics of genuine connection can be expressed in 1,000 different ways, but they all point back to the same phenomenon. Openness means one can say what one really thinks and feels and imagines to another, without shame or without a sense of judgment. Transparency means that one is and one knows that others are being truthful, that one is revealing everything, that one is not hiding things. Mutual respect means one is committed to seeing other persons and oneself as centers of meaning and purpose and value. Acceptance of differences means that one gives permission to others to be different, and that is perfectly okay, and gives permission to oneself to be different from others. Self-management means one is guided by some principles that enable one to be respectful, patient, forgiving, and kind in relationship to others and in response to the tumult of human relationships. And these factors, openness, transparency, mutual respect, honoring differences, and self-management create over time something magical, which is trust. Trust is always something earned. It is validated by how we live and speak and act. What we see happening in our society right now, and what we can be assured will continue to rise in intensity throughout the next presidential cycle, is a breakdown and a disintegration of spheres of genuine relatedness, civility, and the building of trust. And as a countermove, the growth of polarities and tribalism. The coherence of society, the ability of society to function for its members, is utterly dependent upon there being places in society where people can speak freely and openly in an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect. It is critically important for ourselves, for our lives, for our families, for our society, for the times in which we live, to create circles of civility and trust. Without them, life goes around in circles and very likely regresses. We are watching every single day societal regression right before our very eyes. This church, or any religious group of any kind, has a role to play in this. We are trying, as a community, to get people more and more into a place where trust, compassion, hope, generosity, the assumption of positive intent for others guides human interaction. This is a great thing to try to do. It is a place, this community, where we are trying to build people up, to encourage one another, to respect one another in the deepest possible way. And to that end, a covenant has been developed in this congregation by its members, by a special team tasked with doing so. That covenant will be introduced tonight at the congregational meeting. I invite you to be a part of the great adventure we are all engaged in trying to build community, in honoring a covenant. And at the heart and center of that is the simple act of being able to hear others and listen to others and be heard by others as well. It's a reciprocal act. I hope you take the new covenant to heart as it is introduced. I hope you make it a part of your life, part of your marriage, part of your family, part of your relationships, and part of this community. I invite you now to stand in body or in spirit, as you are willing or able, for our closing hymn, number 318, We Would Be One.
To
I invite you now to join with me in our benediction as we extinguish our chalice and go our way, and I wish for each of you a great week. For those who come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those who come embracing life, may life return your affection. And for those who come to seek a path, may a way be found, and the courage to take it step by step. Blessed be.